everybody, it's Extreme Gamer Joe here from Extreme Tabletop Gaming. Just doing a quick vlog later at night here on a wonderful Monday morning. I just wanted to take a few minutes of your time to pass on some interesting lessons I learned in a game today. I played with Kealey from the Royal Tabletop Regiment, another one of our new club members at our TTR, who just recently joined and has a pretty cool Blood Angels army. But yeah, it's not going to be a full battle report by any means, just a few minutes long. We didn't get to finish the full game, so I didn't want to make this an official battle report by any means. We have a rematch coming up in about a week when we can get a good solid 3 or 4 hours into the game instead of the kind of rushed hour and 45 minutes that we had that didn't really result in a full win or loss by any means. Yeah, so anyways, Kealey and I just made quick arrangements, pulled together at the last minute, got our 2,000 point armies out there. I'm playing my competitive Eldar, which I'll do a separate review on in another video at another time, without giving away all the secrets, of course, because it's not a battle-tested army in the tournament scene by any means, just locally here in Ottawa. So plus I don't want to give away too much of the secret sauce too early. That would probably not be a good plan. Certainly not at the tactical level. But yeah, so Kealey, you know, he had quite a hard-hitting army. He had, of course, our big man there, Riabu Gilliman, who our booty there, who just pretty much tore things up mid-game. He was supported by quite a few tactical marines or intercessor marines with the bolt rifles, the stalker bolt pattern rifles, which are pretty nice. They certainly go through Eldar armor very quickly, even with cover saves and whatnot. And then he had tanks. He had a couple Predators and a couple of the Bale pattern versions as well. So I think it was like 3 or 4 tanks, as well as this big ginormous repulsor tank, you know, new to the Primaris Marines thing, with 20 onslaught Gatling cannon shots and multiple las cannons, and oh, it was just a beast of a thing. I think it has like 16 or 18 wounds at T8, so it's kind of like a land raider pretty much. This is the first time for some reason I've played quite a few games in the last couple months and have yet to play a strong Primaris Marine with all the cool new tools, including that new tank. And this was my first time squaring off against Reboot Gilliman, so I learned a lot, and I'll just kind of walk you through that. We played open war cards again. What a great pack. I don't know how much it cost, maybe 15 bucks, but you know, you just shuffle everything up and pull, and if it doesn't make sense for the 2 armies of the mission or the train, you just pull another one. Anyways, we had this kind of like hammer and anvil, where there's no 24-inch gap in the middle, so you're just kind of 36-inch deployment player A, 36-inch deployment player B, and the line is literally touching. So the first unit I put down was a screen of Cabalite warriors from my Inari battalion. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll just put them right, you know, close to the line with that 24-inch gap. It should be fine. It'll be a nice screen. And the next thing he did is, because there's no reason not to, he just put an intercessor squad like 1 inch away from them. I was like, ah, crap! I totally forgot that there's no dead zone. So, anyways, it was we were in a little bit of a rush to kind of get the game started, and there was a few factors there. Had some vehicle trouble, and long story short, we didn't have enough time to get through a proper game. So. We did the best with what we had in terms of time, and certainly deployment was rushed. We were also kind of going through our lists, not in slow time, you know, able to ask questions and do proper weapons profiles, but more like as you're placing a unit, just giving it the 5-second blurb and, you know, shake your head yes if you understand, or shake your head no, and we'll go over it again. But it wasn't certainly a proper, you know, gentleman's sit down where you go through the lists and the models and you talk about the strengths and weaknesses and all the cool stuff you can do. So yeah, I mean, we kind of had at it. We just kind of started bashing dice together pretty quickly. So the deployment was this hammer and anvil, but without a neutral zone. The mission was that there's 6 objectives, and essentially all that had to happen is that we each place 3, and on the roll of a 6, once it's claimed, whoever rolls the first 6 on the first claimed objective, it becomes a supply depot, supply cache of some kind, and you need to hold it kind of like an internal war objective at the end of the game. So sure enough, it ended up, after turn 1, we were all on all the objectives. We just kind of took turns rolling off and No sixes were rolled for the first 5, so the 6th objective automatically became the supply objective, and that was just kind of tucked in the corner of his deployment zone. And the twist, which we completely forgot about, was that the name, but basically everything gets +2 move and +1 on the charge and +1 on the advance. So it was just like everyone was moving banana, would or could have been moving bananas long, but we just forgot about it for the 2 turns we got through. So yeah, it was, I mean, pretty cool twist. Certainly could help Death Guard or just make Eldar move that much further, which is great. Kind of did a typical deployment. I'll show you a couple of pictures snapped up here at some point. You know, with my deployment zone, did some Cavalite Warriors screening. One of them, the 3rd unit, being dropped right on top of the building that dominates the middle of the map. And with that screen in place, I kind of kept the Hemlock to the far back. I used the 3 command points to web way in the unit of 9 Reapers and 9 Shining Spears, and then everything else that was important was in that fire prism there, minus a couple squads of Reapers. So yeah, that was the plan, just to kind of hold back and see what happens and do some shooting. It turns out that Kealey, I had the +1 to drop for drops, but Kealey rolled a 6 and I rolled like a 3 or 4, so he took the first turn. I didn't bother seizing. I just wanted to kind of see how much damage those Primaris can actually put out at full strength, and I was surprised. My scouts who kind of infiltrated forward, I had two of my three squads wiped. 2 of the 3 squads of Cavalite Warriors were wiped. And I started my turn with my screen pretty much in smithereens, and if I hadn't failed morale, yeah, I mean, 4 squads done. If there was kill points, it would have been a pretty bad lead already for Kealey, but thankfully I was able to just focus on that main objective. You know, the list does what it does need to do, and I'll go through that in a more detailed list discussion, and you know, kind of break it down to the nuts and bolts of why things are chosen, and what are the key, you know, purposes of units, what are the key functions, what are some of the buffs that need to go onto them, and why and how they're operating. And I'll kind of do that in a separate vlog, but suffice it to say, things were kind of going to plan, and then I'll post up a picture of me multi-charging 2 Bale Predators, an Intercessor squad, and another Predator, but a non-Bale version. So I kind of pulled in a lot of his vehicles on this really sweet charge. But the problem, and I didn't declare them as charge targets, so I did the pile and consolidate shenanigans to avoid Overwatch. But the issue is I ended up just killing like 3 or 4 guys in the Intercessor squad and one of the Predators. And I totally forgot that Guilliman has a 10-inch move. I, for some reason, had this stuck in my back of my mind. It was only like 6, maybe 7, maybe 8. But sure enough, that old boy Guilliman, he really crushes around the table there when he needs to. And, you know, I had my spears placed really well. Fortune was up, Protect was on. You know, Ancestor's Grace for reroll ones. It was all looking really good. Until Kealey took turn 2 and just took the big boy himself right into those spears, and I think decimate might be the wrong word, but he pretty much took 5 of 9 down with his 8 swings. He did roll a couple 6s to wound, of course, so D3 mortal wounds on top of the wounds. I think it's AP -4 and 3 straight damage is what we were playing. I don't know the rules for that guy very well, but oh, you know, he can only, I think I rolled 18 fortune saves, and I rolled high because I went through my armor, of course. So I rolled high on the 5-up, feel no pain, and I think I saved like 9 of 18 for some crazy reason. The dice were on my side, but that's still, you know, 9 divided by 2 is still a big number. So there goes 5 bikes, boom, just like that. So not much could be withstained at that point. You know, if we had a chance to do the turn 3 and 4, I was close to the objective. I was able to, you know, on the bottom of turn 2, grab my psychic HQs and bring them all over to one side and smite the crap out of Gillum in there, as well as a couple other vehicles and characters that were in the way. But as you know, with the psychic rules now, like every time Smite's cast, it's +1. I didn't think it'd be a big deal for me, mostly because I was trying to get off Runes of Battle or Runes of Fortune. But when you're in a pinch and you need to cast Smite, by the time you're trying to cast it on an 8, it's not happening, or at least not happening easily. So that was a pain in the butt, and suffice it to say, it especially where he hadn't even bothered to get up on his 2-up yet if he was brought to 0 wounds. So yeah, turn 3 and 4 would have been ugly. The only things going my way are that I had all of my Reapers on the table in good position with lots of lines of sight and lots of range to kind of hold it back, and I had all my Psychers. So, you know, being able to sacrifice an HQ4 like my Warlock Conclave or one of the Spirit Seers just to kind of feed Gillum in there was definitely doable, because he doesn't have fly. He is a wide base, and you can kind of put him in some canalizing ground between my Wave Serpent and some other terrain. So, like, you know, I don't think I would have easily lost all my HQs in one fell swoop by any means, but at the same time, you know, terrain being different or dice being different, it could have been extremely bad on a much more open table for the forces of the Eldari. So yeah, here we are. We will never know. I would say that we both walked away from that game just in a rush, because I had to go, and we both pretty much had other things happening. So I'd say it was a draw, although I could have, for the first time in, I don't know, 20-some games playing with these Eldar, I felt like I was on my back foot, and especially seeing those spears who had been juiced up with Protect and Fortune just get ripped. That -4 close combat weapon of any flavor is pretty rough, and as you know, without an invul save in close combat, they're kind of sitting ducks to beat sticks. So it's a good lesson for me to learn to keep the beat sticks away from my spears and just pick on the little guys and kind of skirt around the sides, you know, just using that 16-inch move to get up the flanks and get into the depth objectives, and leave those big, you know, close combat Death Stars alone, because, you know, they're all rocking a 3-up invul or 4-up invul, or worst case a 5-up invul, and I'm rocking a no invul, so it's just not a fair fight. Anyways, I hope all is well, and I'm going to pretty much call it there. You'll see some pictures, lots coming up and lots to come in the future. I'll have a rematch with Kealey, which will be properly recorded video-wise, and I think you'll really like to see that game, because I told him he's got to bring that Gillum in again, and I want to fight him, but hopefully not on fair terms. I want to preferably I just shoot him to death, because he is just a monster. I have no tools to deal with him in close combat. Anyways, hope all is well. Thanks again, Extreme Gamer Joe. Really happy that you could tune in, and all the very best from Extreme Tabletop Gaming.